the grapes are for show for production. Yeah, because they're gonna make their own. Ordering the juices or whatever from
Oh, did you?
Take a look at it.
yeah.
Years back, there used to be.
I looked at it, but they don't seem like there's anything.
No, they had this going on special account,
Yeah.
but
Michigan might be a little different story.
the same said, for lack of complaints,
There's
no issue.
a Chesterton.
Like issues.
Or
Yeah.
on
And so they're
Oh my God,
yeah.
custom.
Chesterton.
Because it,
The border is it all it needs? It looks to me all it needs is like cloud.
so
I don't know.
I'm not saying
And Chesterton, well, from
but
county can get it up.
it's not
Whatever. Well,
right. It may be
From
a
that. And I'm like,
certain type.
somebody's got it.
It's been a game for 20 years.
As a
Yeah, that's
Actually bring in some, but that's still
Wisconsin.
adding local flavor.
They've been
blah blah blah.
taking care of it.
But
You know,
Many years ago.
over so just trying to have
Some
that do it. Promise.
yeah.
They
no, but they
mentioned here.
it's a regulated grain.
own
So,
a freezer.
I didn't necessarily hear that, but that doesn't
Yeah,
surprise
it's
me. Yeah,
different.
we're not flying. Yeah,
That's
it was supposed to. You're right.
Exactly.
Almost crystallized.
Then Chester,
Fine.
well, it's not ours, it's theirs. So if they bring
Yeah.
standards,
I've always maintained
Yeah.
gladly transfer. I'm a big proponent
Because I'm sure that
of giving the municipalities
Presley,
because that releases
But they
the
said
county of
they
the
want-
liability.
but they
that means harvesting.
standards. Well, what's
Yeah.
what's standards? It's a drainage
nonsense.
ditch, dude. Right? So how about this?
Most of
What if
that's
they?
why we-
We'll clean it up.
Oh,
It's up to
of
standard.
course, the other side of me says,
Good.
gee, how did
They still won't.
how did they come up with that as a thing? I don't
Okay,
know.
thank you.
Hey, so there's part of me asking questions. Does it really taste that different?
It's true. I know it's a little.
Yeah, I just would like to get it.
Oh, I recollect.
Because eventually, if it keeps going, it's gonna
This
get
morning before I came to
worse
school,
and harder.
it was supposed to be,
back. You know,
this is my,
did everyone get one of these?
I think.
hey,
What
let's take a
Is it extra?
Streets.
I think those are
I say that
toast.
Yeah, I think it's a
this tonight's meeting. Yeah, so I should start.
Oh, nice, nice.
Never made that. They usually blueberry
Yeah.
or pineapple.
Well, you did.
Strawberry.
I've not heard of pineapple.
Yeah.
Things about 36 behind.
Or, I would say
But you know,
it was something I was just
And I'm
interested
just asking
in.
you were
Like,
that, and that the reason we did
why
that.
not? And it was after I did the blueberry.
Oh.
And so, yeah.
There's a local guy, George.
Is there any
Tunis.
commercial matter?
It's still in this. And used to have a sheep
Stay there.
still
Okay.
is now.
Come back and
He's still
Yeah,
making
well,
money.
if it gets
No, he's still
rezoned, important to anything, let's
Right.
only what?
case
Right. It is something.
commercial.
Right.
They
folks are ready.
I'm,
Everybody ready?
I can't, I guess.
That's what I'm.
5:33.
Is eating, but he's not eating.
Good evening, folks. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First item is a pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is roll call.
I see this. Home.
Need to replace it.
Really?
Kevin Brightsky,
Here,
Bob Gilliana, Craig Kenworthy,
Here.
Arvid Merkner,
Here.
Pamela Mishler, Ed Morales,
Here.
Red Stone,
Here.
Nikki Witkowski,
Here.
Rick,
Here.
also in attendance, Mike Jabo, Susan Hale, and Scott McClure. You have a form.
Thank you. Next item, approval of minutes for December 10th, 2025. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve subject to adding Dave Uran's name. He's referred to as Dave throughout the minutes. It should be full name, Dave Uran.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Okay, it's approved. Any correspondence at this time?
Seconded the motion, I'm sorry.
Red second. Any correspondence at this time?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, let's go to cases. All new business cases. The first case is DW2026-4. Applicant is Ron O'Connor, Parathimus Land Surveying Incorporated. Location 603 East, 400 South, Valparaiso, Morgan Township. Zone is A1, acreage 10.22. Request seeking design waivers for a proposed one lot major subdivision in Warwick major subdivision. The first request of waiver is 6.03 conventional subdivision standards and effect on development standards, minimum perimeter landscaping. Next is 6.03 conventional subdivision standards and effect on development standards, minimum block length, maximum block length, minimum cul-de-sac length, maximum cul-de-sac length, sidewalks, perimeter, paths. 6.03 conventional subdivision standards and effect on development standards, minimum ROW on local roads, maximum design speed, minimum street width, on-street parking, minimum tree plot width, minimum sidewalk width. Next is 7.05 AC-01 excess road standards, residential frontage roads. Proposed lot 1, access to Country Road 400 South. Next is 7.16 LT-01B1, lot establishment standard residential, no interior street frontage. Next is 7.20 OP-01 open space standards general. Next is 7.21 0P-02 open space standard residential. Next is 7.23 PN-01 pedestrian network standard residential. Next is 7.26 PL-01 perimeter landscaping standard residential. Next is 7.28 SM-01 stormwater standards to use stormwater requirements from Apex 111-2B minor subdivision instead of Apex 111-28 major subdivision. Next is 7.29 SR-01 street and right-of-way standards residential. Next, 7.33 SL-01 street lighting standards residential. And lastly is 7.36 SS01 street sign standards general. Okay.
Do you need a break?
Yes. Thanks for all that.
My name is David Tiemans from Tiemans Land Surveying, 223rd Court in DeMont, Indiana. I also have with me Ron O'Connor.
Ron O'Connor.
Address.
Address 36 South Sager Road, Valparaiso. Okay.
We're here to request design waivers for the 13 items that was mentioned by Mr. Burns. This was originally, it was split out last year. It was originally an 80-acre parcel, which was divided by the previous owner without subdivision, which is why we're here asking for all these design waivers to proceed with a major subdivision plat. So that's the reason why we're here, because of the former owner had auctioned everything off, and even with the knowledge that it would cause harm to the future owners. But there's 65 acres that's going to be continue to be farmed, at least for the foreseeable future. Then there's the 5 acres that's right next to us that's already has a bunch of buildings on it. So obviously that's non-conforming, but that's why we're here to ask for a one-lot subdivision plat, major subdivision, and we're asking for all the design waivers because of its to not comply with all those major subdivision requirements. It is, like you mentioned, 10.22 acres, right on 400 South, just west of County Road 650 East. There'll be one residence on there. It's currently half farmed, half wooded area. So there'll be a small conversion of some of the farm area to residential with a driveway. Obviously, if approved here tonight, we'll be going through the subdivision process with plat as well as stormwater to review all these items. But as far as tonight, we're asking for the 13 listed design waivers to go forward as a major subdivision.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'd like to turn it over to staff. You want to make your comments?
If you looked at the staff report, we talked about the history of the property. As he said, it was an auction property about a year ago or so. I do remember the auctioneer calling, saying it was all one piece. They wanted to split off the house where you see the barns and the house and all. And I believe that was done, and then subsequently split again into these 10 acres. Do I have the chronology right?
Yes, and then there's just the 1 10-acre parcel.
So, remember our last meeting, we had a little procedure or a little demonstration. We had a case, and we also had a demonstration of what design waivers are and what they mean. Simply put, because the lot, how it was subdivided or how many times it was subdivided, you always start at the administrative level, then you go to the minor level, and then you got the major level. And when you think of major, you think of all these big residential subdivisions with all these lots and all that. This is a case where they're wanting to split off, and because of the number of times and the manner in which it was subdivided or parceled out, it wasn't officially subdivided in term. It bumps them up to a major subdivision. That's the way our rules read. Now, that always doesn't make sense because this guy is taking 10 acres. He's going to put a house on it. He's not building roads. He's not planting trees or putting lights in, et cetera, like that. So very simply put, they have to be a major subdivision because of the rules, but they're asking for waivers to back down again to a practical. Kevin and other staff members can speak to that, I'm sure, in their questioning. But in simply put, that's what they're for tonight. So the choice is yours.
Thank you. A public hearing. Do anybody want to speak in favor of this case? Seeing none, anybody want to speak against or any question?
I know there's probably not going to be many. Conduct of a public hearing before the commission. The petitioner and proponent shall first present the facts and arguments in support of the case. Those who oppose the petitioner shall follow. The petitioner shall have rebuttal. It shall be within the discretion of the commission to impose any time limitation, either the petitioner or the respondent, and to limit public comment to those determined by state statute to be interested parties. Written remonstrances shall be accepted by the commission but need not be read into the commission record. This then concludes the public hearing. To maintain orderly procedure, each side shall proceed without interruption by the other. In presentation of a case, the burden shall be upon the petitioner to supply all information necessary for a clear understanding of the problem. The commission may continue the hearing when, in its judgment, the petitioner has not provided sufficient evidence on which to make a determination. Every person appearing before the commission shall abide by the order and direction of the president. Discourteous, disorderly, or contemptuous conduct shall be regarded as a breach of the privileges of the commission and shall be dealt with as the commission directs.
Thank you, sir. Okay, public hearing. Anybody speak in favor? Seeing none. Anybody want to speak against or have any questions? Seeing none. Public hearing's closed. I'd like to turn it over to the board. Kevin?
I don't see any problem with this. Mike was referring to, we needed a vehicle to deal with some of the explosive growth that was coming about. So we had an administrative subdivision, a minor subdivision, and several other types of building rights in order to get a buildable site. In this case, this is their last recourse, is to do a one-lot major subdivision. As absurd as it sounds, it's practical so we don't have uncontrolled growth out in the county. And in this case, these design waivers all seem appropriate to pass today for the nature of what we're dealing with.
Thank you.
No issue with it.
Okay, Red?
Absolutely. No issue at all.
Art?
I do have one question.
Go ahead.
Do you own the whole
No,
No,
It's a-
I didn't think so.
just the 10 acres.
Just the 10 acres. Okay.
Yep.
I thought.
Seems reasonable, no questions.
Nothing, you're good? Great.
No questions.
Commissioner,
No questions.
okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve design waiver DW 2026-4.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. This ballot vote.
See, you have a house here, and you like, can you give your kids a sorry? Okay. I need to sign.
Thank you.
Please, do it. Speak. Okay.
Oh, black one. I just.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You know, with the trees and everything.
I always wondered why they cut that road like that.
Can't go wrong in that park.
In the matter of case number DW 2026-4, the votes are as follow. Kevin Brightsky, yes. Craig Kenworthy, yes. Arvid Merkner, yes. Ed Morales, yes. Redstone, yes. Nikki Witkowski, yes. Rick Evans, yes. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. You're back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Get a nice piece of property.
I was just saying the same thing. That piece of property is beautiful with the
It's
tree.
gorgeous.
The creek.
Yeah.
Thank God.
It does divide off from the other field, so
Right.
good break.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice piece of land.
Thank you very much. Went by it the other day.
Okay, next case. Z0-20268. Applicant is Deanne Salzer and Mike Teasma. Location 294 East, 600 North, Valparaiso, Washington Township. Zoning RR, Rural Residential District. Acreage is 10.839. Request seeking approval for proposed amendment to Unified Development Ordinance to rezone a parcel of land from RR, Rural Residential District, to CM, Moderate Intensity Commercial District for a winery and wedding venue. You're on.
Mike Tisma, 294.
Just be close to the mic.
Yes, I'm sorry, Mike Tisma, 294 East, 600 North in Valparaiso.
Thank you.
Deanne Sasser at 294 East, 600 North, Valparaiso. That's the farm property.
Okay, that's fine.
Do you need our home address or the business address?
You go ahead. Give me a home too.
The home address is 2503 William Drive, Valparaiso, Indiana.
Okay. All right.
2503 William Drive, Valparaiso.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Explain your request. Why do you want the rezoning?
Yeah, I'll let you do.
Okay. So we bought the property in 2010, totally dilapidated. Our idea was to repair the house and the structures on the property and turn it into a winery. Before we can even get that done, a young gal came to us and asked if she could get married in the Quonset hut. I initially told her no, I thought she was a little crazy, but she kept coming back, so we did let her have her wedding there, and we started our wedding venue. Prior to that, I'm sorry, we got our variance from you all to do all of this. So that's how it kind of got started, and then we opened the winery in 2021. So the wedding venue got started first, We operated that with success, with no complaints, no problems. We opened up the winery in 2021, right after COVID lifted, and we were able to do so. And that's been in continuous business from that point forward, again, without any problems or any complaints. We've put all of our time and effort and finances into the property. We've improved the property. So, any of you that might have known the property before we purchased it, it was a mess, a horrible mess. So, we've cleaned up everything, repaired everything, and we're in the process actually of rebuilding out the old barn that had fallen apart. So, we're in the process of doing that as we speak now. And that will be added to the winery wedding business as a bigger space for the winery and another event space, and then give us more kitchen space so that we're not cooking stuff in the same place where we're making our wine. So that's in the process of being built out right now. Our concern and why we're here today is that we've been working on a variance since 2011. Which is really scary because we've invested everything into this. And it's worrisome that all of this time, effort, and money can be just on a variance. So we would like to go commercial so that it's makes me sleep a little better at night, and then just move forward that way. So we don't intend on making any changes from what we've been continuing to do since the time we bought the property. It's all going to be the same. The only difference is the barn, which we've already permitted to start building and whatnot. So that will expand it a little bit more. But it will continue in the same fashion that we've been doing business since we've started.
Okay. All right. You want to explain this handout or self?
So that's a handout. Yeah. So just to you all an idea of what the property looks like. I tried to get some old photos, but they were so bad I didn't even want to include them. So essentially, it's just letting you know that there's essentially 6 structures on the property. All of them were original to the property except the addition that we added on to the Quonset hut for bathroom and a bridal suite that needed to be done for, use of bathrooms and whatnot. Otherwise, all of the structures that are on the property have been there since we bought the property. We've just repaired them and fixed them up. The winery itself, as you can see, we've built the deck that was crumbling and falling apart. So we built on the deck. The house, which is an 1870s homestead house, been there forever, has been repurposed and repaired to house the current winery and tasting room. The old farmers market that used to sell like corn and Christmas trees and things like that has been repurposed into an outdoor bar. So that's where we can serve wine and slushies and beer. And underneath the market roof, we've put seating out there so people can sit and enjoy the outdoors and drink wine. We have the acreage that people can walk around and do that as well. In the summer months, we partner with various organizations and we do like a 5K run for charity. We have craft shows, we have car shows. I'm a aficionado of old cars, I like them. So we do old car shows, we do craft shows, scratch kitchen festivals where we invite people who like bake goods and make salsas and things like that to come out, and the community comes out and enjoys those types of markets as well as the wine. The wedding venue that operates on the weekends, essentially. Every once in a while, we have, I think, twice now, a wedding that they might have a specific date during the week that they want to get married. But otherwise, that operates on the weekends seasonally, just May through October. There's no heat or air conditioning out there, so we go from May, not a whole lot of weddings in May, but through October and weekends only, essentially Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have We don't have a commercial kitchen out there, so everybody that does a wedding has to bring in their own caterer. The alcohol is served either off a beer wine permit, which we're able to get to serve wine out there, or they hire a liquor caterer. We do have Porter County Police Department come out and they provide security for every wedding. Um, and the parking for both facilities, I think there's a map on the very last page that's going to kind of give you an oversight. So the parking is shown in that diagram. We have parking next to the venue itself, and then another parking area that's next to the barn. The parking area that's next to the barn is a little bit torn up right now with all the construction in the barn, but then that will be repaired back to the way it was originally. Um, and I think that's about it. We just hope to maintain this type of activities and weddings and things that we've done since we've opened the wedding venue in 2017 and the winery in 2021.
Okay. Well, thank you. Nice presentation.
Thank you.
I'd like to turn it over to staff.
Very nice presentation. Pretty much she outlined a lot of things that were in the staff report. If you looked at the staff report, Mr. Burns, you intimate with this because you're the one that granted the use variance for 5 years back in one.
It was from the start.
Yeah.
So that's set to expire now. So as she said, she's petitioning the board here to get a amendment so that they don't have to keep coming back. We're here to report that we have no record of any complaints of any kind from neighbors or other people in the 5 years that they've been out there. When it was approved in 2021, gave the 5-year use variance, you did put a stipulation on there, hours of operations on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Maybe a proper question to them is, what are the hours of operation? Do they have other days of the week and all? Maybe that could be in your line of questioning to your satisfaction. They did appear before the Development Review Committee on March 5th for an informal review. And as she said, they've refurbished on a number of buildings on the property, and I think you're still working with the state and our office to get other permits for more.
Yeah, I just turned in the last piece of information requested by Mike Haller actually yesterday.
And then in the current form, they don't intend to make any other improvements to property, trigger a site development plan. They currently can park, I think, by their estimation, of 100 cars on their property, which they can adequately.
I think so. Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. She did a good job presenting.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right, so public hearing. Anybody want to speak in favor? Seeing none. Anybody want to speak against? Any questions? Seeing none. Public hearing closed. Kevin, you're first.
Well, to start off with, we discussed this in the development review, and one thing I want to make sure of is that we don't have parking out on the county road at any time. Nobody should be lining up out there. Our officers should be out there. Although it sounds like you already have a couple out there because you'll be required for certain size crowds to have police presence. And to make it clear, that's you hire the officers as kind of a side job for them. The bottom line is, I think we really need written commitments with this, and there's a lot of permitted uses with commercial properties. And if I could be as bold as to suggest that you limit the permitted uses to banquet hall, farmers market, office general, party event store, photographic studio, plant nursery, recreation center, play center, restaurant, retail low intensity, and that pretty much eliminates a lot of the other options that would give us heartburn. By the way, winery's not listed as a permitted use, but you don't really have a vineyard here.
Oh, we do.
We do.
You do have a vineyard?
We do.
Here again, we have agricultural uses, and I think all the agricultural uses are acceptable.
The only one I would have the board look at would be the property entrance. Make sure that's a
don't- exotic. We have, yeah, we have 10 chickens and 2 barn cats.
Well, we could just eliminate the exotic. And
Yeah.
we could raising farm animals.
No tigers.
Yeah, no tigers.
And I suspect by exotic they mean more like tigers and lions. And bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not flowers of old.
That's it. That's it, Kevin.
Yeah, that's my suggestion. And also have written commitments about hours of operation, the noise
The Norris, yeah.
connected with that, and that please limit to 100 cars. You only have so much space out.
Red,
I agree with Kevin on everything
Yeah.
he listed.
you covered it pretty well.
Same here.
You're good.
Good.
Greg,
We're eliminating a lot of these.
Yeah.
correct? Did we say we keep coffee shop? I don't know how much we want to pigeonhole.
No, I think, sorry,
No,
say nothing.
what were you saying, Kevin? I just want to make sure I'm hearing it.
Yeah, I don't see that as a place for a coffee shop personally.
Well, I'm just,
And it's not likely.
I didn't know if that was something.
There's
Coffee bar they'd have. I don't know where it goes if you go coffee shop if they have a coffee bar. That's what you're having a wedding and somebody wants to have coffee.
well, they can't. They can't.
They can't. Well, I don't know. I don't know. We're limiting. I don't want to keep these guys from having a viable business by eliminating some would need.
They can come back to us.
the concern is if they were to sell the property. Okay, it's zoned.
Yeah.
Okay, and we want to make sure what goes in there in the future too. That's the issue
Okay.
too. So,
Okay, I just
And I think when I look through the
Yeah.
allowed uses in the zoning district, what Kevin is attempting to do is go through, leave the base zoning of
Yeah.
CM with
Yeah.
the most palatable uses that in CM would be the least amount of traffic, I would say.
Yeah.
So he's attempted to leave the core of CM within the zoning so that the property isn't too pigeonholed. It can only be one thing for time
Yeah.
memorial. But I think he's attempted to pull out things that would have been potentially more problematic in this particular area that's in CM.
that's it,
I'm fine.
Commissioner.
I'm fine with the recommendations.
You're fine. Okay.
I'm-
Okay.
Really sweet.
Hey, Mike, so I could clarify the commitments we had in the past. It was the hours and parking, right?
As a condition of the use variance, any music turned off at
Yeah.
11 on Fridays, Saturdays, 10 p.m. on Sundays.
Okay.
And we abide by that.
Okay. How about parking?
Well, wait.
I thought we were,
that
I'm sorry.
one thing that was missing in the time. What about the other days of the week? Are you only open on those 3 days?
So the wedding venue primarily is a weekend thing. The winery is year round. We're open Wednesday through Sunday from 11 till 6. Sometimes we do stay open a little later, like we might have like a wine and canvas, like where the ladies come and paint, drink wine. That might be like 6:30 to 9:30. Sometimes we might have somebody rent it out for a birthday party, but that's only 6:30 to 9:30.
But I think specifically the use variance you got before just strictly meant noise. You could be open longer than that.
No.
My
No.
question is,
If there is a wedding, I'm sorry.
the only question I said is, if you're comfortable with what you proved before, that was just Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Maybe make a general statement on the other days that time limit
Yeah.
would be. That would make that statement complete.
If there happened to be a wedding on a Thursday,
Sure.
which we had, we abide by
Not say you
10
can't
o'clock
have a
rule.
wedding. It's just
Yeah.
loud noise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10
Associated.
o'clock rule.
10 o'clock rule Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
I would say 10 o'clock.
11
Yeah.
on Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, what I recall, I thought there was a parking issue from when we first started. You extended the gravel area for
Yes,
so
on that final.
100 cars. Are we still locked into that amount?
I'm just going with what they presented at the DR.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What-
approximately 100. Yeah.
It's approximately 100.
Okay.
The gentleman that put it in thought there could be 150, but the way people park out there,
Well, what have
Pretty-
you been experiencing?
You know, I
we've had no
honestly haven't
parking issues.
counted, yeah, but
Yeah,
we haven't experienced
and
any
we
parking
haven't
issues.
had anybody not be able to park out there, or like run out of parking. So it's probably the way the parking guy made it. It's probably made for close to 150, but the way people park out there, they just kind of pull in. They don't park in their
As you-
spot. It's probably only 100.
We were out parking on the county roads.
Yeah, we haven't had
no.
any. No, nobody's ever had the need to have to do that.
So are we safe to say 150 or?
Or how about we say the other way? The commitment of the rezone is there's no parking on the county road ever.
Yes.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Totally.
We do that way. That sounds,
Yeah.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have a motion to recommend?
I'll make a motion to recommend, as stated, to the county commissioners for ZO 2026-8.
And I will second that
And that's with all the commitments we talked about?
with all the commitments.
amendments.
Now, before you make the motion, I do want to run down, I got the list in front of me. If we can, one more time, so we can mark our sheet, what uses are you prohibiting?
Prohibited or accepted?
Allowable.
All right, what's allowable then?
Do you want,
Yes.
okay, all agriculture uses except for raising exotic animals. For the commercial uses, banquet hall, farmer's market, office general,
Go slower.
party events,
All is okay.
Yes.
Continue.
party/event store.
Okay.
Photographic studio,
How about plant nursery if they,
plant nurseries next,
okay.
recreation center, play center, restaurant, retail low intensity. Does that seem reasonable?
It's reasonable to me.
How about studio arts?
We could do studio arts, I didn't see that. Yes,
And then go back, you said office general, party event store, photographic studio? Was that
Mhm.
there?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
So it's with those conditions, no parking on the road. And Sunday through Thursday, no loud noises after 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, no noises after 11 p.m. Is that correct?
Mike, were we saying no noise? Are you saying no music, no bands after 10 o'clock?
I think the intention was
Okay, so we understand.
creates. I think you should
No music. Okay,
general on that.
so there's understanding. Okay. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Valid vote.
You can write.
Right, absolutely. I agree. Percent. I think it's a very dirty easement.
That's blank one. No. Blank. That's blank.
Looks pretty though. Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah, it's very pretty. Here's an extra one, Mike.
I've driven the house many times.
Oh wait, hold on.
Feel a little light.
One more. Then there's an extra one.
Tim Cheswick.
Dad cancer died, and so we moved her next sister. Really pretty, nice.
matter of case number ZO 2026-8. The votes are as follows. Kevin Brightsky, yes. Craig Kenworthy, yes. Arvid Merkner, yes. Ed Morales, yes. Red Stone, yes. Nikki Witkowski, yes. Rick Burns, yes. Motion to send to favorable recommendation to Commissioner pass 7-0.
What would be that date, the commissioners?
It'd be 3 weeks from next.
You have to go commissioner.
I'll hang on a second. I'll give it to you. March 31st. That would be April 21st, 10 a.m. This room.
So we come back again?
Yes.
Okay.
And there'll be another public hearing. You'll make your presentation to the commissioners. It'll be the first reading. They will vote to go to the second reading. It won't be official until they have their second reading, which will be 3 weeks after that.
So 3 weeks even after the 21st.
That'll be the second reading. That's when the commission will take the vote to approve or not approve.
Okay.
Okay. And just call our office. We'll be happy to help you with the calendar.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd just like to make a comment. These folks started with the property was run down,
Oh, it was
falling apart. Remember that, Scott? Debbie, I think you were out there. I mean, yeah, I'm impressed. You guys did really.
Yeah, it looks
That's what we want.
very nice.
What we
It
want
looks
to do.
beautiful. Kevin and I were just saying, it's a beautiful piece of property.
Yeah.
I think you were out there too, weren't you?
Yeah.
Way back.
Buildings.
been a lot of. Yeah.
Well, I tell you,
I actually-
my first walk out there, I had
I might have attended a wedding.
Oh, you did.
congratulations.
Okay.
Really.
You could not believe the stuff we found out there. We don't even want to talk about the stuff.
Yeah.
Really nice job.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Okay. Next on agenda is staff reports.
Okay.
Mike, whenever you're ready.
You guys. Thank you.
What's that? Oh.
So, update on the comprehensive plan. Can't remember if we had, we did have a public open house. I think I reported that at your last meeting. We will be having a steering committee meeting on April 14th at the Expo Center between 5 and 7 p.m. So those of you people here on this panel that are on the steering committee, as always, the Plan Commission members are welcome to attend the steering meeting. You're welcome.
April 14th.
A lot of you don't know this, the commissioners don't, and the RDC doesn't, but I'm scheduling on April 13th, the day before, a joint meeting of the Plan Commission, the RDC, and the commissioners. This will be a meeting where our consultant and planning staff will make a presentation where we are in this, and we want your feedback from elected or appointed officials position. We feel that the commissioners are important because they hear a lot of cases that get up their way that they got to vote in the form of ordinance. I think the RDCs be there. Number one, they paid for it, but number two, some of the decisions they make in economic development, this is important for them to understand the comprehensive plan and gives them some guidance on what they can do. And then, of course, it's very important for the Plan Commission to be there. This is a guiding document that not only guides you, helps guide you in your decisions from a high level, it also puts focus on the Unified Development Ordinance. So your input is very important in this process. So we would like to see all three of the bodies, as many members as they can. We'll meet in here. I think we can set it up so you can all sit on the wing tables and the dais. I think we can get you all in here. And the consultant will be here hour and a half, 2 hours if need be. You're free to leave early if you have other commitments.
What time on April 13th?
On the 5 p.m.
5 or 5:30?
5 p.m.
Wow.
So, important stage was they go in, and then in May, they will be giving us draft 1.0 for us to review. It'll be a very rough shape form of the document for staff to review. And then there'll be other iterations, 1.1, 1.2, whatever it takes. We will then be also presenting again to each of the bodies individually the document that's there. It'll have to go to the commissioner. I think it should come to the Plan Commission for adoption. send it up a recommendation to the commissioners, and then the commissioners will have to approve it in the form of an ordinance. So a lot of action probably gonna go on the next 3 or 4 months this year as far as the comp plan. Are there any questions on the comp plan specifically? Okay. Plan Commission Subcommittee update. We are having a meeting next Tuesday. That will be held downstairs in the conference room for some of you that are part of that effort. We had our meeting in January, early January, kind of kicked things off. Susan, I, and other staff members gave them kind of a quick rundown what the UDO looks like and the importance of it. Now we're going to get down to some brass tacks, some cases. I'm finishing up the agenda. We've got 3 cases we want to take a look at. We're not going to solve them all maybe in one night and all, but we're going to give you the synopsis of the case so you can take a look at it. Again, any of you are welcome if you want to attend to observe. If you're not on the committee already, I know there's a fair amount of you that are appointed to the subcommittee, but that'll be going on next Tuesday. Summary of signed legislative bills. Some of you, we talked about this before, House Bill. Now it's House Enrolled Act 1001. By and large, they've given us 2 years to figure out how we're going to solve, or what's another word to use it, accommodate attainable housing. And the way I see it is, about the way you can do that may have to be a combination of different things if that's what the county's so inclined to. That may include zoning changes or putting zoning in certain areas to encourage certain kinds of housing development to occur in certain areas. It can include and/or things in the UDO to make it more clear that these types of things. So I've been meeting with developers, contractors, and one attorney so far. I hope to talk others that are in this business. And they say to get the housing, you got to get a little more densification. Now, out in the country, that makes no sense because you don't have utilities, right? That's a deal breaker. Near around the perimeters of the cities and towns, they have the possibility. Doesn't mean the city or town has to give them utility, water, and sewer, but the possibility is great. What they're talking about, less width in the lots, with maybe getting houses down to 1,500, 1,800 square feet instead of 2,500 square feet. It may include things such as townhomes. And the way I see townhomes, they come in 2 different classes. There's the ones that are relatively inexpensive and easy to buy in the scheme of things. And I've seen townhomes that are quite done nicely, and your maintenance is all taken care of. You don't have to paint your house. You don't have to mow your lawn. You don't have to shovel your snow. So they have different scales of and then the big thing down there was things like the multi-units, such as duplexes, patio homes, and things like that. Yes, Red?
Mike, I got a couple. Oh, wow, it works. Couple questions. So this House Enrolled Act bill that they passed is pretty much, and it was, I think, introduced by a developer downstate to get this passed. How? So what happens after 2 years? Are they going to look at our plan and say, "Oh yeah, we like this plan. You're fine, Porter County"? Are they going to go through all the counties and say, "Oh, we like your plan. We don't like your plan"? Because I just think it's abhorrent for downstate to tell us how to run our communities. I think it's especially when a developer is the one who introduces the bill and they're doing it for money, which I think is sickening. So I'm not going to be up here saying, "Hey, great, let's try and acquiesce to downstate." I mean, that's just me personally. I think it's, I think we understand when people come in front of us what we want, what they want. We work with a lot of people, and for someone to do that, I think is wrong personally. And my other thing is, if you want to say you want a bunch of apartments, well, instead of siding, we can always go back to brick, because I work in Cal City, and I'll tell you, you look at them row houses, they're small, they're dense, but guess what? They're still standing and they're beautiful because they're brick. So I don't know if that's a possibility, but personally, me, I don't want to have a county where we have a bunch of siding, small little dinky houses, and grouped up on one another out in the county. I mean, I want this thought out, but it kind of pisses me off, believe it or not, that they're trying to tell us how to do our job when we're sitting here for hours every month and going to subcommittee meetings and going to all these meetings to try and figure it out. It's sickening, if you ask me. But
Well, the way the bill, and I appreciate everything you said.
and I know you guys fought. You and Ed went down there and fought really hard and put in a lot of time, and I thank you for that as well.
well, it's our pleasure. That's our job.
Mhm.
But I agree with all the sentiments you said, Councilman. It sure beat the alternative, the bill Ed and I were dealing with originally. I think the Senate did it right. They basically said, locals, you got the control to figure out your solution yourself. So I'm taking it for what it is. We got this annual reporting. They're going to be using that to kind of monitoring what's going on. And maybe through the annual reporting, they find out it's not as big a problem as it is. However, I did hear one fact when I was down there. They said they are short. One of the Builders Association or the Realtors, I forget which one, that represent Indiana, said they were short 50,000 units a year in the state of Indiana. They're not producing enough of them now.
But that, I mean, and I'm not going to get on my high horse, but this is a lot macro than us trying to solve it. A city, Valparaiso, Porter County, even the state of Indiana, they can do little tweaks, they can do some things, but this is just on such a macro level to try and say affordable housing. Unless you're going to take out of my pocket and subsidize housing, it's kind of very hard to have affordable housing.
And I would say that as part of the discussion, I think you've hit on some of the key points. I think Mike has pointed out that when we get out into the true rural area, this really breaks down logically because of the lack of the infrastructure. But we do have the urban print around our cities and towns that are being developed right now at a higher density because they have utilities. And so maybe now is the time to look at those areas. And to your point, if it is density, then maybe it's in such a product in which long term we're going to be happy with that density. I do think that is all part of the legitimate concern about when you're adding density into our urban area, into our urban fringes. But I think the density is by far the more costly factor than let's say facade material. So if we went down that road, it's worth thinking and going through because we may find out we are happier with this density. We're happier with this type of product because we know what it looks like. We have examples of people out in the wild, so to speak, 20 or 30 years later. We think this can work. This is our Porter County fix.
Right.
Irrespective of what the state is or isn't doing or thinking.
And to me, the affordability part, it's frustrating for me because even in, say, the town of Chesterton, we have a lot of beautiful small homes. The problem is they were bought up by investors. They don't care about them. They don't, they're renting them. And we have like Bailey School, there's a lot of people coming in and out. Right. A lot of transient people coming in. They'll rent for 1 or 2 years, they leave. And that's more of a problem than affordable homes. There's affordable homes on the market if the investor would sell them. But hell, man, I think they're getting $2,500 for like a little teeny house. So,
And there's
but I think the exercise of reviewing what we have, what our density is currently, are we happy with that? Can it be increased or not? And if it can be, what products would make us feel comfortable long term with that density? I think that's a fair exercise for us to go through so that if at some point if this becomes more of an issue down the road, we've already done this part of it, automatically put us in a better position.
I just, like I said, when it comes to the rural parts, and this is just me speaking off the cuff here personally, I don't mind the subdivisions. I mean, everybody knows we're gonna have subdivisions, but it just seems like everybody wants to pack, in a beautiful area. They want to pack 500 houses where it really should be 350. And to me, I just don't think I don't look at like in my this is my county. I live here, and if everybody agrees that that's not what we want, we should be able to.
This discussion, you're valid. I don't think that's what that discussion is pushed out that is, to me, is not the affordable housing discussion. The affordable housing discussion is in the urban fringe where you can do density and products that aren't single family homes. We're never going to solve that on single family. Whether there's 50 lots or 65 lots in a subdivision, we're not going to materially affect that cost. Whether or not this lot has 2 single family homes or 10 rear loading condos on it that are individually owned and are brick, that is something in the urban fringe we could potentially look at and see if that's something we would like.
Okay.
You need to
I think, go ahead, Arvid.
you need to take a look too as far as what's going on nationwide as well as in the county.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed over the last few years, large investors are ripping through Porter County, whether it's BlackRock, Blackstone, whoever, and buying up all the rental properties. Theoretically, the low-income housing where people could at least have a decent place to live. The other thing that's going on, if you look at the census in the United States, around the year 2030, the number of deaths will start exceeding the number of births. So over a long period of time, the housing crunch will relieve itself to some degree. That could be 20, 50 years road. I'm at the tail end of the baby boomers. So when I pass away, there's going to be a big drop in the population.
These are all valid points. It's
Mr.
not like 2 years to get this done, but that's going to go by fast with all the
Sure.
things you got to do.
Absolutely. And
My initial observation is the state gave us grace. Thank the Senate. I think they did the right thing by giving the authority and the power or the thinking through this back to the municipalities and the counties. That's the way I see it. And I think there is room. I've been thinking about this before. Are there key places that we can put like an R4 zoning, which is a multifamily type zoning classification? We have the power to be strategic and say that will occur here, 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 and here. I think that's one of a very quick solution that we can do, putting it in a place that makes sense to address a lot of the comments that you've all said so far. It could be as simple as that, and we've satisfied the requirement, if you follow what I'm saying. So there's going to be a lot of thought about going this, but we also have to recognize a couple things. First of all, they call it affordable housing. I don't like that term. I think it should be more attainable housing.
There you go. I agree with that.
Because affordable housing to each and every one of us sitting in this room is a different parameter, whereas attainable, I think that rings a little more true. So I think it's a combination of zoning and maybe tweaking in our UDO stuff. And that's why in the comp plan, I gave the consultant this stuff so we can have those discussions with you as elected officials and appointed board members. How do we, they're going to give you 20,000 foot guidance on what you should be doing. We're going to have a blob over here and said, maybe you should think somewhere over here, whether it's housing or whether it's manufacturing or industrial, etc., like that. That's what the comp plan does for you. So if you think about it, it's hitting us at Porter County at the right time.
Right time because we're paying
Because we're doing the comp plan.
Right.
So we can roll it in there to give us guidance going into the future. It's not going to say this lot right here or on this road right here. It's going to say generally over here, here's some tools you can use, etc., etc. So first, it's attainable housing. 2, we control our own destiny is the way I see it. And I think we can thoughtfully and very efficiently get to that solution to show we did our job. Now, if Porter County is the only one county out of 92 that does it, then we got to go with a lot of the rest of them. But I think we got to keep close to our legislators. They're going to have summer sessions where they're talking about this. We'd like to get invitations to that so we know what's going on. We got a pulse on it. Because if that bill had to pass, it was originally presented, we would be having an entirely different discussion.
We'd have no say.
No say whatsoever.
No say whatsoever.
Well, see, but this is where
I'm curious. Does it, when they're talking about so much attainable housing, is it a percentage of houses that are being developed? I mean, what's the guidelines of how many? When we start cutting out land for attainable housing, is there so many we have to have? Or I'm just if that's part of the
They
legislation.
didn't put it in that way. What they did was a blanket approach that basically any residential, we have 6 residential classes. They said a duplex or an accessory dwelling unit could go on any one of those 6.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was.
It was more of an attack of if it's residential, now any residential is a duplex.
Okay.
There was something similar for commercially zoned property, like in cities and towns, that became mixed use with a residential component. So it was more of a zoning force than it was a critique of
How many?
lot size or
Right.
anything like that. This was more of a sledgehammer fix to more density.
And you know, there's beautiful little duplexes in Chesterton, and so it's not like I'm against duplexes. What I'm against is people building them, renting, keep them as investors. They have a bunch of them. They don't take care of them. If we could if they were condoed off as affordable housing, like you own the duplex, one half. I have home ownership. I have no problem with. But when you start, having all these investors not take care of their stuff,
So
that's what I have a problem with.
what the cities and towns have done is they have allowed more of these subdivisions to go in with paired patio.
Yeah.
What we want to call them. They have mandatorily only been approving them with a zero lot line. Now, let me explain. I don't mean the outside lot line. I mean the interior common wall lot line. It's required to be there. So they get the variance for the zero lot line because that allows it to be sold separately, separate deed, single family home ownership. And then the ones the cities have been seeing are like 500 to 600 grand for both sides. So then you get down to half of that for one side or the other.
Right.
And the hope would be is that the economics of the fact that they are separate. So does it technically stop somebody from coming in and plopping down $600,000 for both sides of the paired patio and renting it? No. However, because they're separately deeded like that and can be mortgaged and sold, what the cities have been seeing is that's what has been happening.
Right.
They're not necessarily being bought by the investor brand new and then rented. They're being bought at that single family. That's both ends of the spectrum, older or younger, who are moving into that.
But in case
As
of that, they have homeowners association, incorporated property owners associations that take control over all those areas that we've seen grievance on. One of the key points of this that I think we need to address is accessory dwelling unit, where people used to put in mother-in-law houses all the time. We are very restrictive on that, and that's been reintroduced in this legislation. That was really a focus of the legislation. That and taking the ability to do zoning away from the locals, which really set most of us off. That they were going to take control at the state level for zoning and be in charge of it, but not be responsible for it. It was just going to come back to our counties and cities.
Arvid, you had something.
as specifically as you can, because you guys met with the folks downstate, what is the problem they're trying to solve?
They called it, the bill was labeled quote unquote housing matters, and the buzzword was affordable housing. Now, the author of the bill, who is in the building industry and all that too, he correctly identified there's an unsatisfied market. There is an unsatisfied market. Why? Because people like me, I'm sitting in my house. Why am I going to give up a super low interest rate and go build a house that's going to cost me twice as much to get what I got today? That's the circumstances we're in right now. So people like myself are not moving out of our house to create that room so people can go up, and then the more attainable housing down at the bottom level are available. That's one factor. There's a whole bunch of factors why it's in the circumstance it is.
Well, from what I could see, the real estate market for a while now has been gridlocked. Typically, when the interest rates are low, house prices will be a little higher, and vice versa. Now the interest rates are high, the home prices are high, and so everything's gridlocked and nothing's moving. Specifically, to your point,
Some reason there's money out there because they're still building $500,000-$600,000 houses.
now what I've seen twice within the last few years is people that I've known have came in and paid full asking price. Someone's asking $250, fine, here you go, only to be outbid from other people coming from out of state. So I guess part of the concern is we're going to build affordable housing to draw more people from outside the region. And I don't know that that's legit, but I could see.
No, and I don't want you to feel that it's the county's burden to solve all the problems, because the cities and towns got it too. Because um, dense housing, especially when you get that dense, what do you call it, apartment or really dense townhomes, work really well in the urban environment because they can walk to school, they can walk to the
Right.
store, they can walk to the playground and all that kind of stuff. Plus, they can get the utility and the services that a city offers. So, I think where we have utility, where we can do it, we should be open to the notion of that. For instance, like down near Aberdeen, they got their own utilities down there. If they got the capacity to serve, hey, if they can check that box off, I think that's a consideration. It's not a promise. But to go out in the middle of the country in some cornfield and all of a sudden build a bunch of duplexes, no, that's not going to work. And the problem with the bill as it previously wrote, they could go do that, but it was our job to prove they couldn't do it. It should be the other way around. They should prove to us that they could do it. And that's what we didn't like in the bill. And that got since jettisoned. So there'll be more discussions. Ultimately, it's going to be the commissioners that are going to approve anything that this body or any other body comes up with. But we got to do our homework over the next 2 years, because 2 years is going to be here before we know it. And if you got to go through zoning changes, that's an arduous task. It can be very emotional. I've seen it before. Say, well, what are you putting that zoning here for? So it's a lot of work going into that stuff. So staff is up to the task. We're going to use the subcommittee, going to help us with that. We're going to use the comp plan to help us too.
Last question: are there other communities who are ahead of the curve, so we're not reinventing the wheel?
It's hard to say. I know in Porter County, Town of Porter finished their comp plan not just over a year ago. Chesterton will be wrapping theirs up this first quarter. Valpo just started theirs. Portage will be starting theirs, and then there's us. So as far as comp plan goes, whether or not they're going to embrace this notion and put it in their comp plan remains to be seen. There's going to be some here. Let's look at this one. There's 92 counties in Indiana. Porter County is what, the 10th most populous? It's probably the 10th most popular place to build a home too, if not lower. This is going to affect Johnson County, Elkhart County, Hamilton County, all those collar counties around Indianapolis. Why? Because they're the most popular places to build houses, and Porter County's in that list too. I would say the rule that they were trying to pass would impact those 10 counties the most, us included.
I just think it's a shame that, in my opinion, that this bill was crafted strictly for, developers.
Because it got touted as an affordable housing bill.
And it was not affordable housing.
And it's not an affordable.
Because they were complaining about, you go to these counties and we don't want to sit here in front of Porter County and, go to BZA, go to plan, go to this, go to that. They want to just come in and do whatever they want. And I just think that's wrong. I think that's.
But fortunately, those parts got taken out, Red.
Yeah, but it was close. Mike, look at how we had to fight to get that out. Are you kidding me? I mean, that was close to getting.
I don't know. Ed and I went down there. Even from the senators on the board, they voted yes only to see it on the floor to see if they could change it, but they all voted no eventually.
The frightening thing about it is that they all had the mindset that it was a horrible bill, but we're going to pass it out of committee anyway, and we're going to fix it on the floor. And nothing ever gets fixed on the floor. So, my interpretation of this bill was it was a feel-good bill that hit under the words affordable housing. It had nothing to do with affordable housing. All it really did was deregulate the fact that they didn't have to come here for zoning, and the builders could build whatever they wanted, wherever they wanted it. Now, to your question, Arvid, did any other communities, because this is the way I took your question, did any other communities already have something in plan?
Right.
No, they didn't, because there were a lot of other commissioners, mayors that were in that hearing as well that felt the same way we did, because it all becomes an infrastructure issue. Where you can handle this, what can be built where, and they all had concerns about it. And even though that there were some communities that had built affordable housing, it still comes down to the raw material costs that you can't control. So, it just wasn't, in my opinion, it just wasn't a very well thought out bill. And in my opinion, it really had nothing to do with affordable housing. It's just they wanted to push something through to where these builders could build something quicker without having to come through a lot of processes, in my opinion. The good thing about it is is that I've seen with a lot of these bills, even including the consolidation bills that they have, is that they've at least backed off to a point where, you know, you can figure it out or we're going to come back and figure it out for you. Because that seems to be the mindset down there right now, in my opinion. You know, you either take care of it on your own, and if you don't, then we're going to come back and do it for you. And so they gave us some time, right, Mike? A couple years or whatever it may be. But, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's just like the consolidation bills that were passed. You know, if you come up with a plan or they at least see you working on something, trying to fix a problem in some way, shape, or fashion, then maybe, you know, you may be left to be able to make up your own decisions. But will a lot of these things be revisited again? Sure. I think so, Mike. You know.
Plus, you're going to have maybe new elected officials.
Sure. Sure. But
we do.
You know, that seems to be the mentality though in these hearings. You know.
Any other questions? We'll move on, get you out of here. All right. Lastly, staff and I are thinking, you know, every time we'll take a few minutes, every meeting, maybe bring something out of the video, more of like a 5-minute education session. Last session, we talked about what the role of design waivers are. We did have a case on the agenda last week. Now we're talking about the difference between design waivers and development standard variance. Now, a lot of you know the difference between the two. The design waiver, that's decided by the plan. Because you're saying, basically, take the word for what it is. Anything that's designed, like sidewalks, landscaping, roads, street lighting, these are actual design elements. You're given a waiver on those. And that's what you proved tonight, too, for that guy that was before us here. And those are chapters 6 and 7 in the UDO. That's where those are addressed. And if you look at the UDO, it's kind of set out that way. You can kind of, you know, what chapter you're in, you know what you're dealing with. Development standards variances, that's the Board of Zoning Appeals or the Board of Zoning Appeals hearing officer. They're the only body that get to decide those. And of course, you got a couple of your members sit on the full board, and then of course the hearing officer, which also sits here. And you can see the chapters where those apply. And these are getting into things like lot width, setbacks, et cetera, like that. So remember last time I had the graphic, we showed there's a lot of downstream activity that occurs. They may come to you for zoning, and then later you may see them back for a design waiver from you guys. Then they'll be back to you for a subdivision, so you may see them 3 times by the time they get a final product. Whereas on the development standards, then they may have to pause before they come to you and go to them and get those variances before you act on something. So it's kind of an orchestrated effect. I just want you to, you know, just put it out there if there's any questions, but we'll talk more about this as we go in the meetings. I don't mean to belabor an entire meeting, but every meeting we'll bring up a little fact for you to consider.
Is there a printout of this?
I have copies right here.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless there are any questions.
We're done. That's it. Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I didn't think so. Adjourn. Thank you.
Yeah. Pancake then?
Not till April.
Have a good night, Nick.
Yeah. Pancake then?
Not till April.
Have a good night, Nick.